Hey everyone, we're live from Facebook headquarters for the first ever live Q&A that we've done as a community together. I've been going around the world and doing some town hall Q&As to learn from people around the community what you want to hear from Facebook, what you want to see on Facebook, and what we can be doing better to serve you. And we've done about 10 of these as I go around the world to different cities. And, recently we've launched this new product live, which allows us to hear from people all over the world live. And, these town hall Q&As have been modeled off of internal Q&As that I've been doing at Facebook for many years now. And a few weeks ago, I started off trying to do an internal live Q&A, and I found that it was just so much more fun and engaging, and I could see people's comments as I was going. So rather than just having a few hundred or a few thousand people in a room, we could do this here, and we could have tens or hundreds of thousands of people participating in a town hall Q&A together all across the world. And it seemed like just a great opportunity to give this a shot. And to see how this goes, so I could hear from more of you at the same time, and see if we can have a better dialogue this way. So, this is more of a trial. I've never tried anything at this scale before. I think doing a Q&A when you have tens or up to 100,000 or more people commenting at once is kind of a new thing. So you're gonna have to forgive me if I don't get to all of the comments here. Or even if it may even be a bit distracting to look at it. But here's what I'm going to do. So I posted last week talking about that we're going to do this Q&A. And I asked for some of the questions that you guys wanted to ask. And I asked you guys to like the top questions that you wanted me to go through. So I have on my laptop here right below some of the top questions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through and answer as many as I can. And I'm going to look at the comments that you guys are posting as we go and try to respond to them as well. So this can be a bit more interactive rather than me just going through and asking the questions. All right, so let's see how this goes, and let's get to it. All right. Now, before we get into the questions today, on a more serious note, I want to call out a comment from Juan Pablo Corzo, from Deerfield Beach in Florida, here in the U.S., about the terrible tragedy that happened this weekend in Orlando. And Juan says, we all together need to start using social media and technology to find solutions to humanity's problems and to work together towards peace. And we all need to act together now. And that comment struck me because I completely agree with that. I feel like that's what we need to do as a community. And, one of the things that I'm so proud of that our community does is whenever there's a tragedy around the world, we always find a way to come together. Whether that was the earthquake in Nepal, where our community raised a record-breaking amount of money to support the people who were victims there. In the last few days, we've seen that again, where so many people have expressed support for the victims and their families. We have complete strangers sending out links, telling people how they can donate blood and support the people, the victims and their families. So, we're going to keep all the people who are affected, victims, and the whole LGBT community in our thoughts and prayers from Orlando. Unfortunately, there was another attack just last night in France where a police officer and his family were attacked, and there are really sad attacks like this going on all around the world. So we're going to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And I just wanted to say something up top about this before we get into the Q&A, because I know it's on so many of our minds, and it's really important. And I'm really proud of our community for coming together and doing what we can to support these folks. So, all right, now I'm going to get to the rest of the questions on the laptop below. And the top voted question on the thread, it had more than 1,000 votes, is it's a product question, a feature request. Could you please give us folders to store stuff and find it easily, like recipes? Please. That's from Maria Kennedy in Sydney, Australia, and it had more than 1,000 votes. And one of the things that I love is as I do these town hall Q&As and go across the world to different places, I find that the questions that people in our community ask are so different from the type of questions that you'd get in a typical interview on TV or in the media. And so many people in our community, they ask about very specific product questions and feature requests and things that they want to see. And so it's actually not a surprise that this is the top voted question. So, will we give folders to store stuff and find it easily? So here's how we think about this. There are all these different types of things that people care about. There are day-to-day moments with your friends and family. Almost everyone has an interest or something that they care about, or multiple interests. And we want to create spaces and tools for you to share everything that you care about with everyone who you want. And some of the time that's going to be taking a photo or a video and sharing that into newsfeed so that your friends can see it. Sometimes that's going to mean publishing something to the whole world, like this live Q&A where lots of people can participate in it at once. It's a completely public thing. But some of the time that also means sharing into more private or more topical spaces, right? So one-on-one message thread that you have with your mother, or a group for your family, or for your church, or a soccer team, or one of the groups that I'm in. I have this crazy little Hungarian sheepdog. It's called a Puli. He's really an adorable dog. His name is Beast. You can look him up on Facebook. He's got a page. He actually has quite the cult following. And I just love Pulis. So I'm a member of a bunch of Puli groups, so I can see all the different content and share different content about Beast without bothering my friends because I'm sharing too much. So when it comes to things like cooking and recipes and being able to store these and have a safe space where you can share them with people who care, we're working on products like that. Groups, for example, has more than 1 billion people using it around the world to engage in groups around their topics and things that they care about. So so I think that's a good first question to kick this off, and is a bit light. All right, I'm looking at some of the questions that are coming in. There's some pretty good ones, especially one of the crazy things when you do these live Q&As is some of them are very silly. So we got one, Mark. Are the allegations true that you are secretly a lizard? I'm gonna have to go with no on that. I am not a lizard, but keep the high quality comments coming in, please. This is surely on track to be a great live Q&A if we continue getting stuff at that level of quality. There's actually a lot of funny stuff in here too. I'm going to go to one from Pamela Spiteri. I'm so proud that you talk about education. What worries you about education and technology, and how can we as educators help out with limited resources? And this is from a teacher from Malta, which is an island in Europe. So for those of you who follow my page, you know that education is something that I care really deeply about. And in my philanthropy work that I do with my wife, a lot of what we invest in is education and making it so that everyone around the world can have great opportunities for their future. And one of the things that I'm most excited about right now is personalized learning. Right? It's this idea that if you think about how education has worked for the last 100 years, really, or maybe even more, most of us probably grew up sitting in a classroom where we probably had some really great teachers, but because of the tools that they had, we were all learning the same thing at the same time, right, in a lecture. So that meant that whether if you understood a concept quickly, you had to spend the same amount of time on it as someone who needed a little more help to get through that. And what personalized learning does is it means that everyone can spend exactly the amount of time that they need to understand a concept, and they can learn it using the formats that make the most sense to them. So if you learn best by watching videos or by reading or by working together with other people or by doing practice problems, you should be able to do whatever works the best for you. And what we're seeing in a lot of the early personalized learning work is it's just producing great education results where the people who get the concepts quickly can just blow through them and can get onto more concepts and can learn more faster. People who find something a little bit challenging can take some more time on it, can take all the time that they need to master the concept. People who learn better by watching videos or playing games or whatever it is can do that. And in some cases, we've seen that personalized learning in schools, people can learn as much as 50% more than they would otherwise. That's for every year that they're in school, they get an extra half a year of learning. So I'm really excited about bringing these kind of tools to everyone across the world, because I think that is going to give everyone a more equal opportunity to excel in the things that they care about. So I'm really excited about that. All right, now I'm going to go back to this list of questions, because there are some really good ones that people asked on the thread earlier in the week that I'm excited to get to. And this one is about it's from Sheba Jolly, who lives in Louisville, Kentucky, in the U.S. And the question is, how can technology add to global optimism in a world that is affected by terrorism, the refugee crisis, geopolitical and economic tensions, and how can we encourage human beings to live happy, productive, and stable lives? And this is one that I think a lot about, right? Because a lot of what we're trying to do here at Facebook is help the world come together to be this global community, right? Our mission is to make the world more open and connected. So we talk about how do we connect people around the world together, and how do we open up the world to everyone, so that everyone can participate in all the opportunities that the world has to offer. And if you think about the history of humanity, is really this long arc of people using technology to be able to come together and overcome problems at bigger scales, right? And improve the quality of life for everyone. So, human civilization started off, we were hunter-gatherers, right? And we lived in these tribes of, probably no more than about 100 people. And then over time, we developed new technology like agriculture. You don't really think about that as technology today, but from that perspective it was. And that allowed us to settle into villages and cities. And over time we developed more technology in terms of how we can trade and work together at larger scale. And we developed into nations. And at each step along the way, our communities were able to have more people. And our quality of life got better, and we lived for longer, and we lived safer and healthier lives. And now I think that we're at this next point in human civilization, where we have the next set of tools that we need, things like the internet, that can be this global communication infrastructure. But I think we need to move, just like we went from kind of hunter-gatherers to villages and cities and then nations. I think we now need to come together as a global community, because a lot of the problems that you're talking about, whether it's terrorism or the refugee crisis or climate change or global diseases spreading around the world, these are not things that can be solved by any one city or one nation or one small group of people. They inherently affect everyone around the world. So what I think that we need to be doing as a technology industry and a community is trying to build this technology so that, just like at every other point in history, people can come together and kind of level up humanity and get to the next level and start to see ourselves less as just nations of people and more as a global community of everyone living together and trying to take on these problems. And at each one of these steps in the past, it's required new technology, it's required new political systems and ways of doing things in order to organize everyone together. So it's not going to be easy. We have a lot of work to do, but I think that in the 21st century, we all need to start thinking about ourselves more as citizens of the world in order to solve some of these problems than just as people who live in one specific country or city. And so that I think is the biggest part of it, is how do we connect and come together and build this kind of global community and build a global infrastructure towards that. The other piece that I think is really important is how do we open up all the opportunities of the world to everyone, right? So, we talk about, how can everyone have access to education, right, and health, and so much of that is we need to make it so that that this kind of global infrastructure goes everywhere. And one of the parts that I'm really passionate about is spreading connectivity, right? Because the internet, it doesn't solve all problems, but it does help out with a lot of things. And because if you're living in a village that doesn't have access to good education, then the internet is probably one of your best shots at being able to look up the information that you need to be able to get a good education. Or if you have a child and you're trying to take care of your child and you live in a place that you don't have access to a good doctor, the internet is a good bet for you to be able to look up the information you need to be able to safely raise your kid. And today, more than half of the world is not on the internet. And I think spreading infrastructure like the internet, spreading education around the world, spreading healthcare and all the things that we know through modern science, to open up all the opportunities of the world to everyone is one of the big things that we need to accomplish as a global community in this century, right? And we really should. I mean, there's great inequality in the world today, but I really do believe that if we come together as a global community and we develop the technology to an infrastructure to be able to do that, then I think we're going to be able to make a lot of progress towards pushing on these problems and opening up the world to everyone around the whole world. All right. I'm scanning these comments here, and let's go to there are a few topics that I want to touch on that we got a few questions on up front about some of the long-term innovation things that Facebook is working on around AI and connectivity and future computing platforms like VR and AR. So I'm going to take a question now from the thread earlier about AI and accessibility. And this is from Abdul Aziz in Barcelona in Spain. And the question is, what about artificial intelligence would be the next impact of Facebook on the world, right? Because there are millions of people around the globe who are physically challenged, for example, blind, and they can't access the internet. So that's the question. Now, AI is one of the areas of technology that I'm the most excited about for Facebook. And, it fits into this theme that we were just talking about of how do you open the opportunities of the world to everyone, right? And, I did this live about a month ago with one of our engineers here, he's a blind engineer, and he's working on this AI technology at Facebook to make it so that Facebook can look at a photo and can see what's in it. And if you're blind and you can't see your news feed, it can actually read out loud to you what is in the photo. So you're just scrolling through your news feed and it can say, hey, here's a photo of these friends and they're at a beach. Or here's a photo of two friends and they're cooking dinner. And that's an amazing advance that uses AI to understand what's going on in a scene and can bring that opportunity to just hundreds of millions of folks around the world who otherwise wouldn't have the ability to see. And you can imagine very similar things will also be possible with audio too, right? For people who can't hear. So, for example, we're working on AI technology that can, for people who are deaf, can look at the videos like this one as they're playing, and can just add subtitles to them automatically, right? And can understand what's going on. So that way, if for some reason, if you're one of the hundreds of millions of people who can't hear, you can now hear essentially by seeing what is going on in these videos in a way that you couldn't before. And by the way, this stuff is really valuable even for people who are not visually or impaired or deaf as well, because a lot of us are browsing news feed and our phones with the volume off anyway, right? We're in public places where we don't necessarily want to like bother all the people around us by having the audio on. So, you know, how often do you have this experience where you're in newsfeed and you come across a video and the sound is off and you don't necessarily want to tap on it to go in because you're in a public place and you don't want to bug people. But now, because of this AI technology that we've developed that can listen and can start to automatically subtitle things, in the near future, you're going to be able to see what people are saying in those videos even without the audio turned on. So I think that some of this stuff is just really exciting in terms of opening the world up to everyone and making sure that everyone can participate in all of these opportunities. All right, so let's take a look at a bunch of these questions that are coming in. We got one from a woman, Crystal Carrier. Are we really going to have to pay for Facebook? Because I remember at one point that you said that was never going to happen. Is this just a rumor that's spamming Facebook? And the answer is you will never have to pay for Facebook. We've made a commitment. Facebook is free. It always will be. This is part of our mission to make it so that we can build a global community so that everyone can be a part of it, and to make sure that we can open up the opportunities of the world up to everyone in the world. We want to make sure that everyone can afford to use our service, and we're not going to charge, which is why we're ad supported. And we try to make it so that we have as high quality and great ads as possible as the service, but that's how we keep the service free for everyone and build a strong business. That way we can continue investing and building more things. All right, so I'm gonna keep on going through some of the questions here. Let's go to a question about VR here. This is from Mats Lexel in Stockholm, in Sweden. Are you planning on integrating more VR into Facebook in the future? And if so, what do you hope that VR will bring to Facebook? So, a lot of what we're trying to do here is give everyone in the world the power to share exactly what they're experiencing and thinking with anyone else, right? So, if you go back to the internet 10 years ago, most of what we shared online was text, right? I mean, the internet was very slow. It was very hard to get visual media. So most of what we were doing was text. And, since then, now we all have phones, or most of us do, that have cameras. So we take a lot of photos. And now, as our internet and networks are getting better, we can start to support more video, right? We can upload videos. We can do this live, like we're doing here, and that is just making this experience richer and richer. And you're getting a better sense of what people are experiencing and feeling around the world, and it's just really powerful. But the question that you have to ask is video the end of the line, right? Is that as good as we can do in terms of capturing a scene? And what someone is experiencing at that point in time. And I think that the answer to that is definitely no, right? Because technology can always get better. We can always do a better job of giving everyone a voice, making it so that everyone can share exactly what they're thinking. And to me, that's what VR is about. It's about presence, right? Feeling like you're really there with someone, right? I mean, this live video is great, and we've never done anything like it before. It probably gives you, more a feeling that you're here with me than if you just watched a video afterwards, or if historically we would just be in a position where we'd have 100 or 1,000 people in a room, and kind of that would be it. But now we have more than 100,000 people, I think, are watching this, so that's kind of a new thing. But VR will give a new kind of presence, where you'll be able to capture a whole scene in 360. We've started doing these 360 videos and photos. I shared one yesterday of this conference room. You can go check it out on my profile, where you can just pan around it. And it feels like you're really there in the room. And in the future, I think just like this live Q&A is better, and you feel more present here than we were able to do before. I think in the future it'll just get even better with VR, right? So in a few years, maybe we'll all be able to all actually physically be together in the same space in VR. Maybe we'll have some kind of VR amphitheater, and we'll have a VR Q&A. I look forward to that. But that, I think, is where this is all going. It's going on this historical trend towards people getting the power to share what they're feeling and thinking in much more detail over time. Text, photos, to videos, to whole scenes, to even more beyond that. Okay, so actually, here's a good follow-up question to that I see. This is from Sudeep Dwivedi in Kanpur, India. And the question is, how is Facebook going to transform itself to keep up with new ideas and technology and ways to communicate? I know that virtual reality is an interesting start, but what's beyond that? So, just like I said that you go from text to photos to videos, and that's not the end of the line. There's going to be something like VR that can help us share what's going on, like the whole scene around us. I don't think VR and AR are the end of the line either. Virtual reality. There's always something that goes beyond that, and some of the stuff starts to get really sci-fi and crazy. But let me give you 3 examples of science research that are going on that are real today. And what I think we're going to get to at the end of the line, past VR, is a world where more than just being able to capture what's going on in a scene. I think you're going to be able to capture a thought, right? What you're thinking or feeling in its kind of ideal and perfect form in your head, and be able to share that with the world in a format where they can get that. And there's some pretty crazy brain research that is going on that suggests that we might be able to do this at some point. Maybe it'll probably be decades down the line, but there's this team at Berkeley, right around here, that's doing this research where they can take an MRI, right, of your brain and do an image of it, and they can take an MRI of you watching different things. So watching different TV programs, looking at a dog, a cat, doing different activities, and then they can take those activities away and they can just do an MRI of your brain, and they tell you, and then they can predict what you're thinking about and what image you're seeing in your mind's eye just by doing the MRI and looking at the brain pattern. And that's obviously pretty far off, and there are a lot of technology and advances that are going to need to happen before that can be safe to use and something that you actually want to do and all that. But I do think that in the future we will have the ability to just capture kind of a raw emotion or thought that we have, and if and when you want and how you want, and of course it's really important that people have the power to do this in the way that they want, be able to share that with other people. And there's also some pretty crazy research. I think there was a paper, I forget where I read this, but I think that the government was doing some research on memories in mice, where they had a mouse go through a maze, and it encoded the memory of how to go through the maze in its head, and then they were actually able to take the representation of that memory and zap another mouse and put that memory into that other mouse, and it's that's pretty crazy stuff. And then that mouse, without actually having ever been through the maze, was able to go do it. And so that's just kind of straight out of the Matrix, right? And that's really far off. I mean, no one's doing that on humans, but I think that it's a in the future there are all these ethical questions and all these interesting questions about how you do that well, and how you give people power so that they can do this in a way that they want. But having the ability, the raw ability over time, to be able to share a pure thought or feeling in the way that you want, and give you control over that, I think is something that 50 years from now may not be a crazy thing to think about. So, and yeah, we're not working on that, but that's a thing that down the line may be possible. Okay, let's look at here's a fun question. This one is about live video. So it's from Adrian Burnett in Greenville, South Carolina, here in the U.S. And the question is, I love the live feed that lets you interact with people on a more personal level, and so thank you for that. And you're welcome, Adrian. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Is there anything in the works to improve the live feed? And the answer is yes. This is a big area that we're working on. The experience that we're having now together, I think is really cool and interesting and fun that we can do this. But I think that there are a lot of things that would be a lot better. So, for example, Adrian, when you asked that question, rather than me just seeing it on a comment and being able to read it, I mean, how cool would it be if you could just pop in and be on the video with me for 10 seconds to ask that, and we can chat back and forth. and people could drop in. But, you know, live, one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this is it's a completely new format. It's not just video, right? Because we're interacting, right? Like there are people all around the world who are writing in comments, and we're hanging out, right? We're chatting. This isn't just a one-way thing where I have a camera and I'm recording and some people are watching it. This is actually, we're able to just, I can go live and create this space where we can hang out together, and people can just pop in and comment. And in the future, I think it would be awesome if I could see more of you guys, see what you're up to while we're doing this if you want. And people could just jump in and hang out in different ways while we're doing this. So we're going to get there. We have a long roadmap of things to make this better, but it's really early days. We just started rolling this out, I think, just a matter of months ago, and already a lot of people are using it. So I'm really excited about live, and I'm glad that you are too. Okay, so in the similar to this question about live videos, one of the other new video formats that we've rolled out recently is 360 videos, and we have a question from Vic Croatia in Cypress, California, here in the U.S., and it's 360 videos are incredible. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. How do you do this? So I'm not sure how much of a technical explanation you want on this, but the short answer is 360 videos and 360 photos are a bit different. To make a 360 video, because you're capturing a scene as it's happening, you need to have multiple cameras pointed in different directions. So you can do it as simply as just having two cameras, one pointed that way, one going in the other direction, or you can have these really professional, complex rigs, like one that Facebook designed, that have as many as maybe 36 cameras on it that really capture every direction in a lot of detail. And then you look at all the video streams, and basically you just use a bunch of math to stitch them all together and create one file. And then you can use the gyroscope on the phone, so that as you tilt around or look around in different directions, we know and can map where you should be in the video to the orientation that you're looking at. Now, videos require a little bit more professional production. You can buy a 360 video camera. There are plenty online. But 360 photos, which I think are actually potentially even cooler, which we just launched in the last couple of weeks, that anyone in the world can do just from your phone, right? I mean, I posted one of my conference room. I posted one from that someone else took of New York City. And that, I mean, you literally just take your phone and you pan it around the room like you're just doing a normal panorama photo. And then you just upload that to Facebook, and we'll take care of the rest of the math there. So you can create an awesome 360 photo just that way by yourself. So that's pretty cool. Okay, somewhat of a different question, but again, getting into feature requestville here. We have a question from Clark Vista in Manila in the Philippines. And the question is, would you ever consider creating a Facebook app that is a lighter version? So this just makes browsing much faster and saves data from our network. And so Clark, you're in luck because we actually have this. It's called Facebook Lite. So you even got the name right in your question when you asked if we were going to build a lighter version of Facebook. And you can find it in the app stores on Android, and it's exactly what you say, what you're asking for. It's a smaller file, right? So you can download it. It takes up less space on your phone if you don't have a lot of space, and it goes faster. It uses less data, and it tries to be more efficient. And in order to do that, some of the features of the full Facebook app aren't there. But if what you're looking for is a light and fast experience, that's the app that you want. And there are tens of millions of people using it around the world who I think have the same question that you have. So go check it out. Okay. Let's see. What else is going on in the thread? I'm going to take a second to scan this and read through. Let's see. All right, so here's one. This is an entrepreneurship question from Arvind Kanapan. Who's been your biggest advisor since you started the company, and what obstacles have you faced along the journey to where you are now? And You know, I think this question of who your mentors or advisors is a pretty common question from entrepreneurs, right? Because people, everyone has dreams of what they want to do. And the question is, like, where do I go seek out advice to get that? And, what I've always found to be true is, there are lots of smart people around the world who you can get advice from. But the people who I've learned the most from are not some people who I just talk to, every few months who are advisors or mentors to me, although I really value those relationships too. But the people I work with every day, right? So, people who are on just the core management team at Facebook, some of the best engineers that we have here, and product thinkers and designers, those are the people who I'm working with day in and day out on the work that we're doing, who are out building new things and learning new things, and we're sharing our perspective every day. So I actually think if you want to think about how to build something great, or really, even if you're not trying to be an entrepreneur, but really in anything you do, I think you should ask yourself this question of, how much am I learning from the people around me who I'm working with? Because, most of your learning is going to come from them, right? It's not going to come from, some mentor that you have somewhere else, even if that's a cool opportunity for you. It's the people who you surround yourself with on a day-to-day basis who are really going to determine a lot of what you learn and the perspective that you end up seeing. And that can be an intentional choice that you make, is who do you want to surround yourself with? What kind of an environment do you want to be in? And if you're in an environment where you're not learning as much as you think you should be, if you don't have the people around you who you think are going to inspire you to do the best work that you can, then think about changing something, because that's a big deal. And in my work here, certainly, I've learned more from our core team, folks like Cheryl and Chris Cox, who runs product here, and Javier, who runs all of growth and analytics, and Mike Schrepfer, who is our chief technology officer at the company. That's kind of the core crew of people who, I've worked with most of them for almost 10 years, and I learned more from them than any external mentor. Okay, let's look at the thread again. Here's some kind of funny. Here's a good one. I love this. This is from Nate Brunner, right here in Palo Alto, so right nearby where we are, in California, in the U.S. And I love this one. The question is, "Hey Mark, my friends and I are living in Palo Alto at your old house in Barron Park. We wanted to know which room you stayed in during your stay at 819, which is the address of the house." And that one brings back some memories. When I first moved out here, I was a Harvard student. I just finished my sophomore year, and I'd been kind of on the East Coast for a few years straight, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be awesome to spend the summer out in Palo Alto, right? Palo Alto is kind of this magical place in Silicon Valley where all these startups come from, and at the time, I didn't actually think that that Facebook was I wasn't focused on building it into a big company. I wanted to help connect folks who were in college, who wanted to see what was going on with their friends and share with them. And I thought that it would be awesome to come out here and learn for the summer. So we got this little summer sublet at this house that apparently, Nate, you're staying in. Which, by the way, to answer your question before I continue with the story, when you enter into the house, assuming you're coming in from the road, if you go to the right wing of the house where there's a couple bedrooms down there. It's all the way down the hallway on the right side. I think it's the further bedroom was the one that I stayed in, and that was a good time. So we got the summer sublet out here, and we just stayed in the house. We didn't have an office, and we just kind of all stayed around this kitchen table, me, Dustin, my co-founder, a handful of other folks, and folks who were working with us for the summer. And we built a lot of the early features of Facebook. We built the wall. We built groups and events. We worked that summer to spread Facebook to more than 100 more schools. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of good stuff happened at that house that brings back some fun memories. And I'm glad that you brought that up. So good luck to whoever is staying in that zone. Okay, I think let's go back to the thread and see what people are asking now. All right, here's another one around entrepreneurship. It's from Beirut's Mark in Jaipur, India. If you have to start all over again as a teenager, what would you like to take up as your startup? That's it's a good question. The way that I think about building a company is it's all about what change do you want to make in the world. I started Facebook not as a company, but because I wanted to help connect people who are at my college, right? And I wanted to give people the power to share what was going on with them in their lives. And that's really what I care about, right? I mean, it's this whole idea that we talked about earlier of making the world more open and connected. How do you connect people and bring people together towards a global community? And how do you open up the opportunities of the world so that everyone in the world can participate? And, if I had to start over today, I think Facebook would look different. I started it as, sorry, I got the hiccups randomly. I wouldn't start it as a website today. I think you'd start whatever you were building as a mobile app. Today more than 1 billion people use Facebook on their mobile phones, and and that's obviously the more important way that people are accessing the internet and communicating with each other today. So that would be different. But I often tell folks that if I had to start over, if you just dropped me in the middle of a desert somewhere or in the middle of a jungle, I would probably first try to figure out my way out, and then I would start working on connecting people around the world, because that is what I care about. And I don't know exactly what the right strategy would be to get started today. I think it would be more around mobile or some other future technology than building a website like when I got started. But so much of entrepreneurship, don't think about it as building a company. Right, I think that's actually the biggest mistake that people make is they decide that they want to build a company rather than thinking about what change they want to make in the world. Once you know what change you want to make in the world, all of the tactics and strategy for how you do that just fit into that change. And that, I think, is the key thing. And no matter what situation I'm in, I think bringing people together and using technology to help open up the opportunities of the world for people that's just what I'm passionate about, and that's what I would do. All right, now I posted this 360 photo yesterday of my conference room, and if you looked at it, you could see that it's all glass, and like part of that is it's the symbol of our open culture here, that people can just walk around and see what's going on. But that also means that I can look out and see what's going on, and we have all kinds of interesting people who come by and visit the office. And I think I just caught someone out of the corner of my eye who I'm going to go pull in for a second, because I think that this is going to be fun. So give me a second. Give me 15 seconds to go grab him. I don't actually know. Maybe he's in the middle of a meeting or something. But I'm gonna see if I can pull this off. So give me one moment, and I'll be right back. What's going on, Mark? Hey,
what are you doing here?
Come on in. What are you? You got a live video this afternoon?
I do.
Hacker Square.
I do.
All right. All right. I thought I found someone of interest here. We got
what is this?
Mr. Jerry Seinfeld.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm doing great, Mark. It's great to meet you.
It's good to meet you too.
I had no idea you would be here.
I'm supposed to say that.
Yes.
That's
right. That's why it's funny when I say it.
Yeah. Well, you're the comedian.
Yeah.
So no, what are you doing here?
I'm doing a Oculus demonstration. I'm doing a Q&A on Facebook Live today, and we're showing the first episode of the new season of Comedians in Cars just to the employees of Facebook. That's not going to be on the air today.
I'm a fan of that.
Thank you.
So did you do the Oculus demo already?
I did the Oculus demo, yeah.
So what do you think? We got to start there.
I loved it. I really, really loved it. I really thought it was funny and stimulating. It was one of those things that you can't react to in the moment. You have to. I have to think about that. I could tell you better tomorrow.
Okay.
What I thought of it.
And you got to do the hands demo too.
I did the hands thing. I could hold things. I drew things.
So that's coming out later in the year. That's actually not a. I mean, we've demoed it publicly, but people can't buy that one yet. I'm really looking forward to that. I think when that, it's just much more compelling when you can actually change the world and interact with other people. So I think that'll be good. And you're going to do a live Q&A, you said?
We're doing a live Q&A. Yep, we're going to show the first episode of Comedians in Cars Season 8, and then we're going to do a live Q&A on Facebook.
Okay. So while we're here, I think we have like 10 or 15 more minutes in this Q&A. You want to take some questions with me?
Yeah, sure. What do we got?
So we got some on this screen. We have the top voted questions that people submitted and voted on in the week leading up to this, and then on this screen here we have all the live comments as people are pouring in, the ones that people are voting on as well. So here we should just pick one up.
I don't find any of these interesting at all.
All right, well then, improvise.
What I would like to know, first of all, I'd like to know what time you woke up.
This morning, 6 a.m.
6 a.m., okay.
Which is not normal, but Max is like a pterodactyl.
Right.
And it's I mean, it's like, I didn't know a human could make those noises.
Right.
But I guess that's the way it goes. I was never a morning person. Max is definitely turning me into a morning person.
So you get out of bed.
Oh, I didn't say that. Oh. You asked me when I woke up.
Oh, I see. So you wake up and you stay in bed.
Well, you guys, someone's got to go calm her down. But
and then what do you do?
This morning, I went for a short run.
Okay, before that, I want to know the very first thing you do. You get out of the bed. You go to the bathroom.
Oh, I don't. No, the first thing I do is look at my phone.
Oh, you look at the phone first.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes. Yeah,
I do that too. And what do you want to know? I usually want to know, did the Mets win or not? That's what I want to know first.
Oh no, that's
eyes.
not my thing. I'm not that.
I know. I'm asking what you do.
I look at Facebook.
Right.
To see what's going on in the world.
Right. Right.
And I check my messages. I look at Messenger and WhatsApp.
And how many minutes would you say you spend?
It depends on...
Before you go, I gotta go to the bathroom.
It depends on what's going on in the world. On a good, calm day,
right.
It'll probably be no more than a few minutes.
Right. So you stay in the bed, or you sit up on the edge of the bed?
Yeah, I think it's... I'm
You're
lying
not
down.
Sure.
I'm lying down. It's on the night table, and I just pull it in, and it's actually a pretty sad situation, to be honest, because I have contacts, right? I mean, I can't see that well.
Right, me too.
And before I put my contacts in, I often go look to see what's going on Facebook too. Mm-hmm. But I'm very nearsighted, so I'm like, yeah.
Right.
I put the phone. So that's probably not my best moment.
No, it's not anybody's.
But I mean, I wasn't planning on talking about this publicly, but
well, that's what I like to do. This is what I'm interested in.
Okay.
And then, do you take a shower, or you work out first? Or you said you're going for a run?
I think the better strategy is to work out and then you shower. I think
not Barack Obama. He likes to shower
and then work out,
shave and work out, which I found to be very odd.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
I guess you could do that.
But he said to me, "I'm the president, and I do what I want."
So
I didn't pursue it after that.
Yeah, no, that's not me. I try to go for a run or work out, and that's a good way to start off the day.
That is good. Okay. Now this person wants to know: are you marathon training? Somebody told me that you're going to run 365.
Yeah, so
days or something, or hours.
So I have two. I do these personal challenges every year,
right?
And this year, I have two. One is to run 365 miles, so an average of 1 mile a day, and then the other one is to build.
That is not a challenge.
Yeah, I know.
A mile a day.
I know. So that was the easy one.
Yeah.
The other one is to build an AI that controls my home.
Okay, that's a little more challenging.
Yeah. So I figured, doing something physical is good. In order to offset all of the sitting that I'm going to be doing writing this AI. So the AI is going pretty well. I can now basically talk into my phone and tell it to turn off the lights or turn up and down the temperature.
That's
or
good.
Let people in through the gate. The new thing that I'm working on is we have this camera at the gate, and it can now look at who's coming up, and even before they ring the doorbell, know if I want to let them in. So, if take like my wife, for example, she's a good one to let in.
Right.
And so she can just walk up and it's like, hey, Priscilla, come in.
Right.
And so that is, that's a pretty fun one that we're working on. And, maybe I'll do a live in a few weeks demoing some of this stuff.
Right. Isn't it funny how we work so hard to just eliminate a little bit of effort? I mean, to get the door is not that much work, but we are going to put in a tremendous amount of work to just save us walking to the door and opening it.
Yeah, this one the challenge is more about the practice of writing this code,
Sure.
and learning about AI than
Sure.
actually having it.
Right.
In a few years, I think there will be better technology that can do a lot of this stuff. But I enjoy the process of writing something that can understand the language, that can understand voice, that can do the vision processing of like as someone's walking up to the door, can try to figure out who it is, and that part is interesting to me. And I think in running Facebook, the technology company, it's I think also good practice, right? I mean, if I'm completely out of touch with the stuff that people here are doing, then I'm probably not going to do that good of a job of running the company. So there's that. Then, the running challenge was supposed to be super easy, right? It was supposed to be 365. Like you said, you were making fun of me a second ago. It's like, yeah, you should be able to run 365 miles.
Yeah.
So you're right. I
would call that a running pastime or
but
side project, challenge.
So, but I have a way of making things more intense than they should be. So,
right.
So we
that's good.
So I started training at the beginning of the year. I wasn't sure how this was going to go, and I think it's going too far. I've now gotten to the point where I can basically just wake up in the morning and like bang out a half marathon or a marathon if I want. So I decided I'm actually going to start training for a triathlon. Right? It's like, all right,
really?
instead of just doing running, let's do biking and swimming too. So I went to the bike shop last weekend, and I didn't even have a bike when I decided to do this.
Right, that's a great smell, the bike shop, isn't it? The rubber and the.
No, I didn't notice any smell.
You didn't notice the smell?
No, I'm not a very.
I love the smell of a bike shop.
Well, I think it was my first time in a bike shop, so I went and got a bike, and on my very first ride, so I got these clips, right? So you
I know the
clip
clips.
in if you're going to be an intense bike rider, you go for it. I've never done that before. So I went for a ride with my dad, and we like 10 seconds in, I came to a stop at a stop sign, didn't unclip.
Oh God!
Fell.
That always happens.
Braced, broke my arm.
This arm is broken.
No, it's
It looks a little swollen there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's only a week old, but it's the radius bone. It's a little fracture. It's very interesting. People don't believe me because I don't have a splint or a sling.
Why don't you put it in something?
Apparently, when you're trying to heal an elbow or a shoulder, if it's not too badly separated, the mobility actually helps it heal.
Right.
More than just having it in a sling. That makes it all stiff.
Okay.
So
well, I suggest maybe your next challenge would be a 15-second rides. Since your last one was 10, let's go for a 15-second bike challenge.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I need to ease into this triathlon thing. I'm not.
Right.
My training is not off to a good start on this, so we'll have to see how this goes.
That's a huge commitment for a guy with a baby, a triathlon. That's really. I mean, you've already got it. You've got a baby. That's a triathlon right there.
No, she likes running with me though.
Oh, really? In the little thing?
Yeah, she loves it. She's like, I think she thinks she's flying.
Yeah, I always think kids in those jogging strollers must be thinking, we are probably so late for something. I don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
So should we answer some questions people want to ask us?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's take one or two.
No one seems to even know that I'm here. I don't see my name anywhere.
Well, you do have OMG Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a question. That's not really a question.
That's Karen Marooney. She needs a challenge also.
All right. Let's get some questions for Jerry here.
What do you want to know about me? You must be a little curious about me.
Well, so I mean, Seinfeld. My understanding is like
that's my show.
I know you're. It's you're eating a lot of cereal.
Yes.
So what do you eat for breakfast?
I don't eat cereal anymore.
What do you
now? I like to have 3 eggs because I read an item about this lady in Italy that's 105 and has 3 eggs for breakfast every morning, and I said that sounds good. So every day I have 3 eggs for breakfast. And it's a
All right.
fantastic breakfast. Holds you like for 4 hours.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of eggs.
3?
Is that healthy?
Yeah, I think it is.
All right. I'll take your word for that. That's not what I do. All right. So let's, this one I think we should be able to have some fun with. It's from a question from John Joseph Contreras in Menlo Park, California, which is right where our offices are here. So this is a very neighborly question.
Okay.
The question is, you should totally come out to our block party
Yeah.
in Menlo Park.
Okay.
On
That's
Terminal
a
Ave.
suggestion.
Yeah, just so you can. Your wife and kid are also welcome.
No, they're not.
I don't know.
So, okay,
I
again-
have a completely different reaction to that. I think that's a really nice question.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what Facebook does.
But what's the question?
Will we come to the block party?
I didn't know.
Can I send you instead?
Yeah. No, no thank you, John. Not interested. Because what makes that community nice and relaxed is that I'm not there. That's what makes it friendly and real. That's what he likes about it. You and I showing up would ruin everything he likes about that community.
Yeah, but, we talk a lot about building global community, and I do think that a big part of connecting the world and building a community for everyone is also, starts from local communities. And so I don't know. I think playing a part in our local community is an important thing for us to do.
What part would we play besides people going, "Can I take a selfie with you?"
Well, we could eat his food.
Okay.
We could bring food.
Yeah.
All right, here. I think you got some more
No.
questions here. So Jerry, what do you think Kramer would do with Facebook Live?
Oh.
And hi Ben, which I don't understand that, but you apparently
Hi,
do.
Ben. No, I don't know who Ben is. Hi, Jerry. Boy, we
Hey,
got
Pillow, what you
would
doing?
Kramer do with Facebook Live? You mean I don't know. Does he mean Michael Richards or does he mean the character? Does he know that it was a fictional show?
This is all you get. You're not gonna
I don't-
get clarification.
I
for
don't
that.
think he would do anything with it. He'd be on Facebook because he's a very social person
All right.
and very into connectivity. Your goal was to take the social experience and put it online.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to take the actual human social experience and get away from that.
Get away.
Yeah, I would like to eliminate the entire social experience.
Why? That sounds terrible.
Yeah, because I don't feel comfortable. Stand-up comedy is a way to interact with people in a completely anonymous way, unconnected. You never meet any of these people. You never really. It's a completely that's the first virtual reality. Is stand-up comedy.
Interesting. So it seems like we have completely different reactions
Completely,
to
yes.
dealing with our social insecurities.
Yeah.
You try to project that, and
How can
and
I get away?
Try to get everyone
Yeah.
in the world to socialize
Right,
and come
yes.
together. So all right. Let's see. Is there one more good one, and then we should probably wrap up. I think we have time for one more question. This has been a pretty fun live Q&A. I don't know. Do you see anything on here that you want to go through?
Oh, here's one to talk about transcendental meditation. That's something you would love. Do you do that?
No.
Oh, you'd love it. It's great.
Why?
It's tremendous energy and relaxation at the same time. TM's the ultimate work tool. That's how I would sell it.
Interesting.
Okay, let's move on.
All right. Well, that was, I think, supposed to be the last one.
Oh,
Other
all
than
right.
how about swimming, which I don't. I
How
think
about
that was probably
swimming?
going back to the triathlon. Hard to swim with a broken arm, but I'll be back at it in a couple months or so.
Can
All
I
right.
tell you how many times people here today talk to me about the broken arm?
Well, they probably thought that if we were going to meet, that
Yeah.
that they should warn you not to shake my hand.
Yes, that's what they did.
Yeah.
They really looked after you.
Well, I appreciate.
Don't
that.
ask him. Don't pretend that you know about it. But if he brings it up, the arm is really broken. It's really a big thing going on at the company today.
Yeah. Well, I'm not quite sure how to react to that,
Yeah,
but it's
nice
fun.
that people
It's fun.
care about
People-
you.
Well, yeah, but it gives people don't kind of know what to do with a broken arm that doesn't at all look broken. My wife wants me to put a temporary tattoo on it that says broken.
That's a
So
great
that way-
idea.
I mean, I actually think it's a terrible idea. But
Really?
I mean, but it's actually, it feels pretty fine unless I try to lift something, and then it hurts. So I do
Right.
actually kind of need to remind myself about it. But all right, so look, we have tons of questions that are coming in. We could do this for a long time, but I think we should probably wrap this. I'm going to call this a successful live Q&A. You know, I think when we do this in the future, we probably won't always have such interesting guests who can come in and
all right.
and do this, but this was a cool treat to have Jerry wandering around the office and be able to pull him in for this. So thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us for an hour, and for all of your comments and feedback on what we could be doing to serve you in the community better. I look forward to doing more of these in the future, and keep writing in with what you want to see from us. All right, thank you guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right.